And now it's time for the real news with your host, Farron.
Hello today and welcome to the Real News Radio, where we discuss the news of the week, much that goes unreported by our mainstream press. To begin, the stimulus was passed this week, and it is being reported that this will mean $10 to $15 more on average to each working American. Wow, problem solved, depression is over. Brian, what will you do with your new windfall of money bestowed back to you by the government that confiscates over 50% of your earnings in the first place?
I was thinking of getting maybe a cheeseburger or something. What's it, $8 a week in your paycheck?
On average. I am a saddened American to have to witness the intentional collapse of our way of life and the selling of our children's future. We're moving rapidly into a socialistic, totally nationalized banking system, as this debacle is used to further eliminate people's individual rights and move the government further and further into the role of a total enslaving controller. I am not alone in seeing this as an attempt for those in power to seize more power, to reduce us as a people into a third world living standard. As we will report today, more states are waking up and realizing that the federal government is out of control, that the federal government can no longer be trusted to have any semblance of the best intentions toward us, we the people. The federal government has become an untrustworthy group of elitists drunk on their own power, that are willing to rob the American people in broad daylight and expect us not only to accept it, but also to trust that these very same criminals can now fix it. My question today is, why, as a society, do we sit back and let this happen? Look at what we have allowed to happen in the past 10 years, just to name a few. Huge trade deficits destroying our manufacturing sector. A government that refuses to even attempt to maintain our borders and immigration in this country. Runaway massive debts incurred through total mismanagement and two unconstitutional, unwarranted wars that we obviously cannot afford. And the government openly taking our rights away via the Patriot Act, Military Commission Act, and an ongoing battle to take our gun rights away. And doing everything possible to destroy the dollar. The markets worldwide all declined after the stimulus passed. They know it's a hopeless failure. The federal government has displayed total disregard for the will of we the people. California is over $40 billion past bankrupt and now is issuing IOUs to the people in that state. We have to take back our individual sovereignty. Hope is a false word. You hope for change that never comes. We will see the TV starting to indoctrinate the people to live on less and less, to accept this new way of life. Obama is now saying we all have to sacrifice. We will be taught how to be poorer and poorer for the problems they have created, that they are to blame for. If banks made bad loans, that's the bank's fault. When did we buy into this notion that any business is too big to fail? It is absurd that the people in America, the taxpayers, should pay 1 red cent to these banks or to anyone else. And to top it off, America is already bankrupt. All this spending is more debt. Let's talk about some solutions today. The people need to rise up. We need to join together. North Carolina needs to assert her 10th Amendment right, as other states are doing, and openly call this for what it is. International bankers, along with corrupt politicians, have fleeced this country, have fleeced this society, and have intentionally wrecked this economy. The Federal Reserve must be abolished. We must demand a sound currency, not this unbacked fiat paper that is rapidly turning into Charmin. Will the people rise up and take back this country, or will you sit back and continue to be robbed? Continue to be forced to keep up the people too sorry to work, and apparently be forced to pay for other people's home mortgages and greedy bankers' mistakes? I say today we are truly at the crossroads in American history. Our government's policies have now ceased to make any sense to the average American. I think today we truly have some choices to make. Do we continue to sit back and do nothing, or do we come together as a society and collectively say enough is enough and take this country back, if necessary, one state at a time, so later when we go to the phones, I want to hear what you, the people in this area, have to say on this subject and the news that we will report today. To begin in the news, I want to start with the Daily News Herald, February 20th, 2009. Iowa National Guard to train for gun confiscation. Now this is going on right now, people. The purpose of the April 2nd to 5th drill will be to gather intelligence, then search for and apprehend a suspected weapons dealer, according to Sergeant Mike Cox, Readiness NCO for Alpha Company. Citizens, law enforcement, media, and other supporters will participate. Troops will spend Thursday, April 2nd, staging at a forward operations base at Carroll. The next day, company leaders will conduct reconnaissance and begin patrolling the streets of Arcadia to identify possible locations of weapons dealers. The primary phase will be done Saturday, April 4th, when convoys will be deployed from Carroll to Arcadia. Pictures of armed dealers will be shown in Arcadia, and soldiers will go door to door asking if residents have seen the suspect. Soldiers will knock only at households that have agreed to participate in the drills, Cox noted. And here on the Real News, we have reported several incidents like this where the military is training here in America on Americans. And Brian, I'd like to get your perspective on this before we go into the next segment. I said it's happening right now. They're preparing for it. It actually starts April 2nd through the 5th. But while we're at war in two countries like Iraq and Afghanistan, is our military short on places to practice war games? Why in the world would they be practicing, of all things, gun confiscation here in America, unless we plan to see some gun confiscation going on here in America?
Well, this goes back to what we always say. I mean, they know precisely what the future holds. I mean, the global elite are the global elite for a reason, folks. They're not stupid. And, you know, we look at the official Bilderberg participant list, which I just happen to have right here. Farron and I were there. We saw Ben Bernanke. You know, we saw all the players that are currently now in the Obama administration, including Timothy Geithner. You know, they saw this financial situation coming years ago, and of course they were telling us well into last year that nothing was going to happen. It was just a little hiccup.
We wasn't even in a recession a year ago. They perpetuated this financial collapse. It's by design, and it's no accident. As we are reporting here today, military getting ready to prepare to practice for gun confiscation in Iowa. You know, we can't make this stuff up. But
and if you look at the financial crisis, it's pretty obvious that we're going down a precipitous decline, and that's obviously going to lead to civil unrest in the United States on a massive scale.
Like we're seeing in Greece and France and other countries. It's coming to a neighborhood near you. So I wanted to get that out. Anytime we see military practicing in America on Americans, we're going to report it here on the Real News. And let's go ahead into our first news segment. Brian is going to report on some of the happenings in the economic news today.
Well, just a few of the headlines we saw this week. GM, of course, laying off another 47,000 people. That's 47,000 people. That's in addition to their previous layoffs. Of course, they're asking what? For another $22 billion. Lifeline, which is, what's that going to give them? Maybe another month or two at the most. Here, the American people are being forced to pay for the health care for these auto workers. Many of the American people that don't have health insurance themselves.
Or jobs, or can't afford a car.
Right.
Unreal.
Absolutely unbelievable. We had gold hit $1,000 an ounce just yesterday.
And that's something that you had, you report more on the financial matters than I do here, and something you had said we would see silver and gold skyrocketing. And do you think we're just in the beginning phases of that?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt whatsoever. Gold hit $1,000 yesterday. Bloomberg actually reported earlier in the week we could see gold at $5,000 here in the next few years.
Wow.
Of course, folks, you have to remember that gold isn't actually going up. It's not moving at all. It's the dollar that's going down, which gives you the illusion that gold's going up.
Exactly. It takes more dollars to buy it because the dollars are becoming rapidly more worthless and more worthless.
Remember the article I read about Zimbabwe, 251 million% inflation. That's our future, folks. Get rid of your Charmin now while you can. This is an article from Blogspot. You can go to blogspot.com and search for the coming depression. It almost seems amusing that we are still discussing the coming depression because of the fact that it has already arrived and settling in. Really what the entire new era is all about is watching our dreams deteriorate right